Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here.
Jacob here, meeting my icon, Catherine Isabel, Jane Lorenzo.
Wait, what did you say?
Jane Lorenzo.
Okay.
Have a good one.
You guys better subscribe and watch my friend on his YouTube channel. He is kicking ass.
I've waited for him.
Testing 1, 2, 3. We're on.
We're here to investigate a patient that killed 3 innocent teenagers on a Halloween in 1978. He was shot by his own psychiatrist and taken into custody that night, and has spent the last 40 years in captivity. Hello, Michael. I have something you might like to see.
Everyone in my family turns into a nutcase this time of year. Yeah, I mean, your grandmother is Laurie Strode. She was almost murdered.
Wasn't it her brother who murdered all those babysitters?
No, it was not her brother. That's something that people made up.
Do you know that I pray every night that he would escape?
What the hell did you do that for?
So I can kill him.
Dad, look out!
The bus crashed.
Mom, what bus crashed?
Michael escaped.
Excuse me, somebody's in here.
Hello?
Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of the new 2018 Halloween film starring Jamie Lee Curtis, as well as Judy Greer, Will Patton, and Nick Castle once again reprising his original role as Michael Myers the Shape, at least in part, along with James Jude Courtney, and of course takes place 40 years after the original film. Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie Strode ready and waiting for Michael to escape, as he's been silent and completely unshaken for the past few decades. She's been waiting for this day, and so has he.
He's waited for this night. He's waited for me. I've waited for him.
Get out of the room! Get inside!
You don't believe in the boogeyman?
He's here!
Michael! You should.
Can you close the closet door?
So yeah, just got out of seeing the new Halloween movie. Of course, the main release day is tomorrow on the 19th. But of course, theaters always have at least a screening or more, or a couple on the night before. They had one at my local theater, so we were lucky to get the seats we did. I went out with a friend. It was a really nice time. There weren't very many seats left. It was pretty packed. We had to make sure to get ours a little bit ahead of time. There was like a few single seats left, but we pretty much got like one of the last like pairs of seats together. So it was good that it worked out that way. And I just had to see this movie as soon as possible. Of course, horror being my favorite genre, and you know, I do enjoy the Halloween franchise quite a bit. I'll probably do a separate video ranking all of the films, including Rob Zombies and everything, at some point later, probably by sometime next week at the latest. But yeah, my favorite slashers have always been, you know, Freddy or Jason, one of the two, and I've grown a greater enjoyment out of Chucky over the past year as well. But for me, it's probably Jason, Freddy, and after that, it's probably just a toss-up at this point between Michael and Chucky, and Leatherface is kind of right behind that. But, you know, I do enjoy a lot of the Halloween films. Some of them I do think are better movies than some of my favorites films, so, you know, that's saying something. Of course, the original has set sort of a standard for what we know slasher movies as. And I'm one of those who actually kind of like Rob Zombie's films as well. We'll get more into that in the ranking video I do at some point soon. I didn't really care for the original films. I didn't mind 4 and 5. You know, with you know, Jamie Lee Curtis, or with the Danielle Harris as a kid. You know, Jamie. But after 4 and 5, I didn't really care for them. You know, like Curse of Michael Myers, I hardly remember. Halloween was Resurrection. The whole Busta Rhymes thing was ridiculous. That wasn't the only thing wrong with it, but H2O wasn't terrible either, I guess. But really, they're kind of unmemorable to me past 4 and 5. Season of the Witch, I haven't really seen much of in a long time. But it's unrelated, so it's kind of weird to connect them all. Yeah, it's like a general idea. I'm not going to tell you what order I'd put the ones I actually like in. You'll have to wait for that. But as far as Halloween 2018, you know, directed by David Gordon Green, as well as produced by Jason Blum and others, but this is part of, you know, Blumhouse Studios and everything, who have, you know, been on kind of a tear lately through the horror genre. And it's just been like a good couple years for horror movies lately. At least there have been a few gems, which seem to be causing a bit of a resurgence for the genre, which is great. Because if Halloween does as well as it's seeming to do, then I think we might see a new wave of you know, horror movies. You know, with the successes of It as well as A Quiet Place lately. It's good to see as a fan of the genre. Of course, there's a lot of different subgenres of horror and branches and stuff like that, but still, good horror movies in general, and them being well received is always a plus, you know, for what we may get. Excuse me. But yeah, Halloween 2018, I liked it. You can go watch my, or you can go read, excuse me, my little write-up I did right after I walked out of the theater, if you want to hear more of my immediate thoughts. But I like I said, I liked it. I don't think it's my favorite of the franchise. I do think I hold the original, and I do have a soft spot for Rob Zombie's films a bit above it. I do have to think about it more, but I do clearly think that this new Halloween film is definitely a fine and very, very solid entry into the franchise. I do think it's better, although I said I didn't mind 4 and 5 and H2O, I think it's better than all 3 of those, and it's certainly better than Resurrection and Curse of Michael Myers. So really, you could say it's like in the middle, but it's just much better than most of the original sequels, honestly. I like it more than the original second as well. But yeah, it was good seeing Jamie Lee Curtis come back. I mean, I've never been the biggest fan of hers as an actress, but you know, I understand the need to see her character return as with her returning as Laurie Strode. I think she gives a very capable and fine performance in this movie. I did like her. I think it made sense where her character was psychologically at this point as well. I know some reviews have questioned that, but I felt like it was a more natural point than her being, either completely broken or completely just over the top prepared. I mean, she's prepared in this movie, but what she has and what she's capable of doing is a more realistic, kind of grounded perspective on that. She's also very paranoid, obviously. She has OCD, types of things like that. It's ruined 2 of her marriages, sort of pushed her, kids away as well, or, her daughter anyway. Not much contact with her granddaughter, but it seems like they do have a connection. They've been seeing each other. So yeah, I think it made sense the way they wrote Laurie Strode back into it. And of course, you do question why Michael waited this long to kind of break out. It's convenient, the whole transport bus crashing thing. It's been done. But you do wonder again why Michael... Michael could have escaped at other points throughout those 40 years. I mean, come on. You do question why it's now. I do like that I just said Donald Pleasance. Of course, Dr. Loomis had passed away. I'm glad they did that instead of trying to recast him or something like that. There's some issues I have with the story in this movie, and that has to do with her granddaughter. And I think the actress that played her granddaughter actually didn't do a bad job. I actually kind of liked her performance-wise. Yeah, her name is Andi Matichak. I think she did a fine job. I did like her. I am happy with her performance and think she has a good resemblance to the actress playing her mother, as well as Jamie Lee Curtis. With Judy Greer and Jamie Lee Curtis, I think there's a good likeness there anyway, at least passable. And Will Patton, of course, known for Remember the Titans. I always remember him as one of John Travolta's best friends in the Punisher movie. He plays a sheriff there, or one of the cops. And this is one of the issues that Grace, or Beyond the Trailer, had with this movie. Like, they were saying how he is one of the first responders at the original incident. She misunderstood that, because how I understood it was that he was the one who was probably one of the cops who eventually captured Michael and locked him up and everything. So I think that made more sense, that we didn't actually see him in the movie, but it's what happened afterward where he came in. Beyond the Trailer also didn't like how violent the movie was. She complained about how horribly people are killed right in front of us. Oh my. Why would a slasher movie have, people brutally and horribly killed? I don't know. I don't get why they would do that. But anyway, I don't want to rant about that the whole video. There are some good kills in the movie. I don't think there's any overly memorable ones, though. Besides, there's one pretty good foot stomp, I'll just say that. That was probably my favorite one if I had to pick one. And it does feel like a genuine entry into the series. Even though it's not my favorite, it's better than a lot of them. And it feels like a respectable entry into it. It feels like the people who made this, enjoyed the franchise. I think it also says something that John Carpenter came back to, do the score again. Of course, Danny McBride, Jeff Fradley, and David Gordon Green himself, the director, wrote it. And I think they had a good, solid, screenplay, and the story in general was fine. It was serviceable, I feel like, but again, there were issues I had with the story, mostly due to the granddaughter, although I like the actress. I agree with the people that feel like it was a bit of a detraction, to keep going to her and sort of the Halloween party she had at her school, of course. Of course, you got to add more teenage bodies to the mix, I guess, but then her little issue with her, kind of sleazy boyfriend, kissing another girl and getting drunk and everything. That's a spoiler, but it wasn't fully needed. It took up maybe a tad too much screen time, but I don't think it was ever, fully, detracting from the movie entirely. It's just something that didn't really need to be there. I don't think a lot of people really were interested in. Besides that, though, there's again, it feels respectable to the franchise, And my only other complaint with it's fairly well paced. I mean, it's 105 minutes, so basically like an hour and 45. It is just that, I don't know, like I said, there were a couple good kills, and the Laurie thing made sense, but there was never a scene or a sequence that quite gripped me or made me nervous or tense, really. I will say minus Laurie and Michael's sort of final confrontation in the movie and the whole sequence through the house they're in. I think that was actually played off pretty well. Although I do think a sequence of Jamie Lee Curtis sort of going through the halls and doors and everything is a bit extended, and there's not really much. But they're actually, like, when they actually get physical, and Michael actually gets pretty close to killing her. Won't say how it actually goes, but I felt into it there. I was engaged. But besides that, there's no like memorable like sequence with any of the other victims or anything like that, which was unfortunate. And I always remember the hallway scene in the original Halloween, or when Michael was breaking into the closet, and the dun dun dun. There's no like scene like that of Michael just slowly following behind her as she's crawling through the hallway and everything like that. Nothing quite like that for me, but they do have some shots in the movie that are definitely reminiscent of how people think of the original films, like when Laurie and Michael first see each other. It's just him sort of looking down at her through a window and kind of the head tilt type thing. So I like that, and of course the mirror trick and everything. So yeah, again, it feels respectable, but I don't think there's anything necessarily great about it. It had its ingredients there, but something, I'm not sure what, but something just felt a bit dry to me, a bit on the flat side. But still, I think it's a pretty solid horror film, and definitely a fine enough entry into the franchise that definitely trumps most of the recent films. Again, even though I do weirdly like Rob Zombies. I feel like I'm saying a lot in this video. So overall, I'd have to rate this movie about a B. I do have to think on it more, but I think it's solid. Like I said, it's a fine entry into the franchise. Just nothing necessarily overly memorable about it. But it's just good to get another, good, alright, solid Halloween film, a decent continuation of the original. And you can debate for a while if them ignoring it was a good choice or not. The sequels, anyway. Yes and no for me. And of course, Michael himself, I don't know why I didn't talk about him yet. But he looks really good, really creepy. His mask looks better than ever. I'm not sure if I prefer this or Rob Zombie's Michael Myers mask, but still, I like the look of Michael in the film. And yeah, so let me know what you guys thought about the new Halloween movie. What would you rate it? How do you rank the overall series now? What do you want to see in a sequel if it happens? So yeah, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Like, subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.